Welcome to my first tutorial. In this video I will show you how to paint the Scarab Occult Sorcerer, the leader of the Thousand Suns Terminators. First, you need to base coat the figure with Thousand Suns blue paint. I've used my airbrush to do this, but you can do this with your standard brush. Almost every leader in the Warhammer 40k universe has a back cape, cloak and other pieces of material hanging from the armor. And this is where I start. First, we need to paint the back cape with Screamer Pink. Of course, look out for the blue armor. Now it's time to shade the cape. To do this, we will need the Rookie Violet. While applying the shade, you need to focus on all crevices. Of course, if you see a slight difference in height, then paint the lower part, which must be darker. After the shade is dry, we will apply 3 colors one after another using the dry brush technique. First, we will use the Screamer Pink again. Cover the large amount of the cape, but leave the darker parts with the shade. Next, we will apply a highlight using the pink horror and only focusing on the most exposed areas. The final highlight will be painted with Emperor's Children. To secure the colors and blend the 3 highlights together, we will use a mixture of Rookie Violet and Lamian Medium in 30 to 70% ratio. Now it's time to paint the other side of the cape with total different scheme. Starting with Ushapti Bone, a very transparent paint, so I recommend that you use 3 thin coats of it. When the Ushapti Bone is dry, we can apply our shade. For this, I've chosen the Seraphim Sepia, which nicely shades all of the crevices, but also changes the tone of the Ushapti Bone. When the shade is dry, we can start airbrushing our cape by using the Ushabti bone again. Time for highlights. Our first highlight will be made with Screaming Skull. The final highlight will be made with White Scar, but only apply it to the edge. As you can see, the edges are looking ugly because it's the border between two totally different colors dry brushed to the surface. We can fix it by applying the Screamer Pink again, but look out for the inner side of the cape. Be very careful with your brush. Another pieces of material hanging out from the armor are the raiments in the front of the figure. We will start painting them by applying a base coat of Celestra Grey. In the next step, we will apply the Ulturan Grey layer. It's better to use two thin coats of Ulturan Grey because of its consistency. When the Ulturan Grey is dry, we will use a mix of Nihiliac Oxide and Lamian Medium in 50:50 ratio. It will create a nice glowing effect on the raiments and add a bit of shade to these parts. For the fine edge highlight, we will use White Scar. Remember to be very precise because every mistake will be visible with the Nihila Oxide shade. Final part, visible on the front raiment, are the scrolls. The base color for them will be Rackard Flesh. For the second part we will apply Pallid Witch flesh, but we will only focus on the upper parts of the scrolls, leaving every gap and recess. For fine edge highlight, I will use white scar. The scrolls are held together by a leather belt. The best color for this part is the Rhinox hide. If it's too dark for you, you can always use brighter layers. We will use a mixture of Agrax Earthshade and Lamian Medium in a 50-50 ratio. It will nicely blend all colors together and the white scar won't be so bright. Let's leave the cape, raiments and scrolls and get to the real business, which is the outstanding armor and weapons of the sorcerer. First, let's start with the metal parts. The best base color for them is the lead bircher. Use different brushes for bigger parts to save time and smaller ones to be more precise. When you look at the box art, you can see that the power sword is separated in metal and black colors. For this we will use Abaddon Black, which poorly covers the metal, so it is necessary to use two coats of this color. Most of the armor is covered in golden ornaments, but before we will spend most of our time painting them, we can't forget about the blue and the yellow stripes on the shoulder pads and the helmet. They can be very difficult to paint, but if you will paint them at first, you don't have to worry about mistakes. Why? Because every corner will be painted over with gold and shaded. You only must be aware of the blue stripes, so use the smallest brush that you have at your disposal. When you are finished with the stripes, now you can start painting the gold part, which are many, so be patient because the effects will be stunning. There are only two small elements to paint before the shade, the handles on the weapons, which we will paint with red gore. When all of the parts are painted, we must shade them with Agrax Earthshade. Use smaller brush to do it. Don't mess up the whole armor with the shade, because we will have to fix it with Thousand Suns Blue again, and it will look messy. Focus not only on the gold parts, but also on every single recess in the armor. When the shade is dry, we can add the first layer to our gold ornaments. You have many options here, but I like to use the Gehenna Gold, which has a little red tint to it. While applying the paint, leave the recesses, holes and every part that you want to be darker. The next layer will be painted with any bright gold Citadel paint, or you can use greedy gold from the army painter like me. There is something special about this paint because it always leaves some of Gehenna Gold beneath, which makes the ornaments more pleasing to the eye. You can use any different gold paint for this stage, like for example the Auri Gold paint from Citadel. Let's end with the gold ornaments by applying the fine edge highlight with Runefang Steel. You may ask why I am painting the Eye of Horus ornaments in the Runefang Steel also. Just because it's a perfect base color for our technical paints. For the eyes I like to use the Waystone Green paint. Technical paints have a specific consistency, so you must apply it by grabbing a large blob of paint on your brush and just put it on the Runefang Steel base. It will create a nice glowing effect for this part. Now we must go back to the metal parts, which also must be shaded. To make a nice and clean effect, you can add a little bit of water to the Nuln Oil shade. Time to take a closer look at the blue armor. Like almost everything, it must be highlighted. We have only two steps to do. First, we will apply Ahriman blue, leaving all the shaded parts. Be very careful in this stage. Every mistake will be hard to fix, especially the shaded areas. Now it's time to switch to your smallest and most precise brush, because we need to paint fine edge lines over the blue armor. The best color here is Baccarat blue. Be precise and take your time. Steady hands and patience are the most important things in this stage. Let's get back to the eye lenses because they need to be brightened a bit. To do this, we will use Skarsnik green. Remember the yellow stripes? Let's highlight them too by using FlashGit's yellow. To make the metal parts more real, you can also brighten it up by applying Iron Breaker. The last thing what we need to do before basing the model are the decals. For the best effect, I suggest using the art code as a base, because the decal will nicely stick to the surface. To harden the decal and make the part matte again, paint the applied decal with Lamian Medium. Now you have to base the model, and there you have it, a mighty Scarab Occult Sorcerer to lead your Thousand Suns Terminators to battle. If you like my tutorial, please leave a like and subscribe. See you in the next video.